So now we are going to be hanging an antibiotic for my patient Ellen Davis as a secondary bag. So the first thing that I'm going to do is wash my hands. And I'm going to review the provider's order. So today she'll be receiving 50 milliliters of cefazolin, 1 gram over 30 minutes, and that's going to be every 8 hours. So the next thing that I'm going to do is check my patient's name and date of birth, and her name is Ellen Davis, and her birthday is 9/1963. Do you have any allergies, Ellen? No. Okay, great. So next I'm going to get all of my supplies. So for this one, I am going to need my secondary IV set, and I'm going to check the expiration date on that, which is 12/31/2024, which is good, so I have that. And then I'm going to grab my antibiotic, and it's 50 milliliters of cefazolin. And I am going to check the expiration on that, and it's January 1st of 2023. And I'm also going to check for discoloration on my bag, and it looks good. I'm also going to label both my tubing and my antibiotic, and I just want to confirm again that my patient Ellen Davis is going to be receiving 50 milliliters of cefazolin, 1 gram over 30 minutes. So this is the cefazolin. And I am going to label it. So I'm going to put my patient's name. I'm going to label it with my patient's name, today's date, my initials. I'm going to put what I'm going to be the prescribed rate. I'm going to put the start time and the end time of the infusion. So that's completely labeled. And then I am going to don my gloves. And we are going to get started. So I'm going to open up my tubing. And again, I'm going to take out everything. Stretch it out, make sure that there's no kinks. This is the top. This is going to be inserted into my antibiotic, and then this is the end that will be eventually connected to my primary line. So it's all out. I'm going to grab my labeled antibiotic, and the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the blue, and then I am going to take the cap off of my spike. Again, this is sterile, so you don't want it to go anywhere or touch anything. It's going to go directly into my bag. And you spike the bag. And it is spiked. So the next thing that we have to do is clamp it, so there's nothing coming through while I work on this. So I stopped it. I have to hang my bag. So the primary line right now is hanging here. I'm actually going to lower my primary line, and I'm going to put the secondary higher. That's because we want this to go first. And then when my secondary bag, my antibiotic, is completed over the 30 minutes, I will then pick up again with the primary bag. So I have it hanging. I need to label it. So again, I'm going to label it with my patient's name, today's date, and my initials. Put it onto my tubing. And it is labeled. I'm making sure that the clamp is down when I fill the chamber. Again, I'm going to fill the chamber about halfway. Okay, so once the chamber is filled, the next thing that I want to do is clean the primary line. We're going to let the tubing come through, make sure that it is completely primed. Unclamp it, let the water flow through. We're going to leave it capped for right now. We're going to flick, make sure that there's no kinks, and it looks good. So this is capped, so this is sterile, but it's important that when we're connecting it to our primary line, that we clean the port that it's going into. And I'm going to clean it with alcohol. So once this is complete, make sure you invert the lines, make sure that there's no air bubbles. flick them up and they return to the chamber, so the whole tubing should be bubble free. Looks good, it's still kept. This is flowing, everything looks beautiful. So the next step that I'm going to do is take my alcohol swab and I am going to clean the Y port, which is the blue on my primary, and you want to vigorously clean it. Making sure that there is no chance of infection. Once I cleaned it, it's clean. I'm going to decap mine. And then you're going to connect your port. Once it's connected, we need to figure out the drop rate. So we did a little bit of math for that. So again, the order says that we are doing 50 milliliters of cefazolin, 1 gram, over the next 30 minutes. So I did my formula, and I got 16.66 drops per minute, but we're going to round that up. So we're going to make it 17 drops per minute. And here is my equation. So we have 17 drops per minute. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to pay attention to my clamp on my secondary bag, and I'm going to adjust it so that the drop rate is approximately 17 drops per minute. So I'm going to look at my watch. Over 1 minute, we want 17 drops. That looks good. Everything's labeled, they're hung correctly. The secondary bag is higher than the other. The only other thing that I do want to do is come over to my patient and I want to assess her for signs and symptoms of infection at the IV site. We're also doing an antibiotic, so we want to just make sure that she's tolerating it well. We want to make sure that she is in a comfortable position. I'm going to take off my gloves and clean my hands. Once my hands are cleaned, I have to document. So I have my patient, Ellen Davis. Her date of birth is 9/1963, and she received 50 milliliters of cefazolin, 1 gram, over 30 minutes. I'm going to put today's date, the time, and my signature. I am going to make sure she's in a comfortable position and close the curtain for her privacy. And that is my secondary bag. Thank you.